Hi, everybody. Welcome to Kingdom First. I'm here with Jane and Bernie, and this is Testimony Week. We're just talking about what God has done, particularly now in Bernie's life after 20 weeks. So I'm going to hand over to you, Bernie, and just start off by asking just the general question. Where were you really before Kingdom First started?
Okay. I have been part of a prayer ministry team for ongoing for about 3 or 4 years, and would take part in monthly healing sessions. So when I came onto the course, the word supernatural frightened me. Weirdly, I just thought, what is this going to be about, or how is this going to present itself? But I'm so glad that I did pluck up the courage and carry on and persevere, because I've learned so much. I think I have to say the first thing was how ignorant I was, particularly when it comes to the heavenly realm, or a spiritual realm, because even though I've been practicing and doing prayer ministry for 3 years, I really didn't understand that it's possible to actually get into the heavenly realm while we're
Mm.
here on earth. My upbringing and everything had sort of like my understanding was that you could only access the heavenly realm once you've actually died, and if you've been a good girl, and you get through the gates. But I've had my eyes completely opened, and
Can
I've
we
just
talk about that
learned.
specific example, Bernie, where
Yeah,
I wasn't here for this. I think you were in Rob's group, and I think from what the testimony that you gave, you were kind of feeling a bit out of sorts, and I think your words were you couldn't be bothered. Um,
yeah, yeah,
and so I think you were prayed for first, weren't you,
yeah,
in the
yeah,
breakout group? Do you want to tell us
yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, I can't remember what the topic was that week, or what week it was, or whatever, but something had been bothering me all day, and I described it as having a can't be can't be bothered-itis. It was just like, and I really struggled to actually join the course, to come and get on the Zoom. So I was very there was something, I think maybe it was a bit of spiritual warfare going on there, because I've been enjoying the course. I'm really looking forward to every week. I was really excited, but this particular night, I just was just not there. I was almost resenting having to take time out to be on the course.
Yeah.
And Rob came straight to me, and I was angry then. I thought, why have you picked up
Don't pick on me.
food? I'm not in the mood, leave me alone, or whatever. But so I explained to him, I was just open and honest, and said, I'm not feeling it. I'm not in the right place. Something's going on with me. So they did. So he said, let's pray.
Yeah.
I can't even remember who else was in the room, but they they prayed with me, and the, the, the Holy Spirit just completely took
Mm.
control,
Yeah.
and it it was just amazing. I just felt, I mean, I have experienced the presence of the Holy Spirit on many occasions, and normally I get sort of like a tingling sensation at the back of my neck,
Yeah.
and I might even feel my heart pounding or whatever. But this time it was I don't know. I felt I was melting.
Wow.
Everything, like I was, everything was warm, and I
Wow.
was melting, and it was like all this anger in me was just oozing away,
Yeah.
leaving my body, and I was just starting to relax. And then I actually felt like I was floating, which I've never experienced before. And it was beautiful. I didn't want it to stop. I was just on another level, or in another realm.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
it was just wonderful.
Yeah, as I said, I wasn't there, but Rob wrote something down, and he said that he felt when you came, he felt it was spiritual attack, and I think they prayed against that, didn't they? And he said that he felt that he could see that there was deep engagement, and that he felt you were being lifted into a spiritual realm, and what he could actually see was your eyes shooting from side to side.
Yeah,
Um,
that was the second time because they prayed and then
okay.
asked
Oh,
me
am I
how I
shooting
felt.
ahead? Sorry,
Yeah,
carry on.
yeah,
You
no,
can,
no, no, that's fine. They prayed and asked me how I felt, and I explained about this feeling of floating and the feeling of melting first and then floating. And then Rob said, "Well, I think we need to like press on with it and ask the Holy Spirit for more." And
yeah,
then I went into almost like a trance. I think it was. I don't know.
sounds like it.
It
Yeah.
just, I my eyes apparently were doing like going from side to side. I was very aware of just like an electric storm
Okay.
in my vision. I was just had my eyes closed, and it was
Yeah.
just like a landscape of electrical sparks, and well, I wouldn't say it was flashing lights. It was more like electricity
Wow.
going, and I was aware of it in my eyes. And then when I sort of like when Rob talked to me afterwards, he said that he had noticed he could see my eyes like almost like when you're in REM, the rapid eye movement, but it wasn't particularly rapid, but it was deep, deep
Yeah.
eye movement.
I
Yeah,
think Rob described it as though you're watching a tennis match, so their eyes were kind of going backwards and
backwards
forwards.
and forwards. Yeah, but yeah, it was. I was just looking at. I was just aware of this amazing electrical storm almost that was going on, but it was, yeah, it was. And then I
Amazing.
felt complete peace, and 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 then I wanted to wasn't just peace. I was just overwhelmed with joy, and I
Yeah.
then wanted to. I did actually get up and jump around the room. I was just so elated. So I went from being "Don't dare speak to me" because
Yes.
I'm I've got can't be bothered-itis to absolute joys of spring. I was just so
Dancing
joyful.
around the room. Yeah.
Dancing around the room. Yeah. I
I
went out of camera shot, I think, because I just got up.
I remember seeing you. It's like you were we could kind of get a glimpse of you every so often and your arms waving around. So we could see you jumping up and down. It was lovely. So
I
yeah.
just couldn't stop myself. I just had to do it. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was
Amazing.
wonderful. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Amazing. Great.
Yeah.
But can we ask about the because I remember I think one of the very early sessions you volunteered, you had a need for healing, and you volunteered to be prayed for. Can we talk about that a minute? Because that was
Yeah.
lovely. I vividly remember that.
Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. Yeah. But Rob was asking for volunteers and nobody was coming. So I just very reluctant, well, not reluctantly, but I thought I didn't feel it was it was worthy of being healed almost, But I'd for over 3 days I've been really, really struggling with um, my shoulder, my left shoulder, and it got worse and worse over the 3 days. I wasn't sure what had caused it. I thought maybe it was because I'd done a very long drive. I don't know what it was, but it was to the point where I couldn't raise my arm. sort of above my, waist level at all, because the pain was so bad. And I had general sort of weakness in my arm as well. And the pain was from my shoulder down to my elbow. And just before I came on the session, I'd been doing dinner for my grandchildren and clearing up afterwards. And then I tried to lift, which I can normally do, lift 4 plates up into the cupboard. And there's just no way I could do it. I just couldn't do it. It was just, I had no power in my arm and it was so painful. So I had to give up and try and do it one by one. In the end, I just used my right hand and struggled just with one hand. I just couldn't do it. So when they were asking for volunteers, I volunteered, and I think it was Rob and Caroline and Claudine that prayed for me for the healing. And again, it was that I really felt the presence of the Holy Spirit. I think I probably would have described my pain as 10, because it was completely debilitating. I couldn't use my arm as I should, and the pain was really quite intense if I did try to use it. And then they prayed for me and invited the Holy Spirit, and again I felt the presence of the Holy Spirit. I felt a tingling in the back of my neck, but then it went to almost like pins and needles in the back of my neck, and I just felt a weight. I felt the weight of the Holy Spirit on me, so it was making my breathing slow down, and I just, sunk into my chair a bit deeper, I think. And I think then when Rob was asking how I was feeling, or asked Claudine and Caroline, had they seen anything? Had they noticed the Holy Spirit on me or anything? And so they said that they'd had, that I looked. Caroline, I think, described it as, to begin with, I looked like I was carrying 2 heavy bags of shopping, but then I put them down. I was relaxed, and then they prayed again for me, ask for the actual healing rather than just inviting the Holy Spirit. And they were specific to the parts of that I was in pain with. So they mentioned, my shoulder, and Caroline mentioned my neck, and I hadn't actually considered my neck was in pain or anything, but she prayed particularly for my neck. And Claudine also prayed for, every tendon and all the muscles, and so they named the body parts that they wanted to actually, get the healing for.
Commanded them to do what you want them to do. That's what we were taught, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's how we have been taught to do that, to name the actual problem.
Yeah.
And when they finished praying and asked me how I was feeling, and I said that I'd felt, well, I had this tingling and pins and needles in my neck, but I had felt the pain shoot across my chest into my right shoulder.
Right.
And I thought, have I now got double shoulders that aren't going to work, or 2 shoulders? I just don't know. But I was just so wired, I suppose. I felt I've just got to try it. I've got to just see what I can do. And to my absolute astonishment, I was able to raise my arm all the way up above my head like this, which I hadn't been able to do. And not only that, I was able to do, like, rotate it all the way around.
Well,
a tiny bit of pain, but nothing. It had gone down to about a 2. But it was the movement, the fact that I could actually move.
yeah.
It was, it was jumping for joy again.
I watched the video back because, as I said, I wasn't there that week, and you were almost like doing backstroke, trying out your arms, and I remember you just saying, "Oh my gosh!" That you were amazed that
Yeah,
kind of you couldn't believe you were this was actually happening to you.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, no.
uh,
I
uh,
was just so glad that I volunteered, and
yeah,
almost thought it's not worthy of being healed. It's just
yeah,
probably caused because of I just went on a very long drive, but
yeah,
you know, but no, so grateful, and I think it was the Holy Spirit just
yeah,
demonstrating this is what I can do. Yeah,
absolutely.
anybody can do that. Yeah,
And I remember from there that increased your faith so much
yeah,
that you then went on to pray massive faith-filled prayers for Caroline, who is in your group, who's already given her testimony tonight. And yeah, it I think Rob said he'd never been in a room where there'd been so much faith, and that all came from you, really, just you kind of stepping into receiving that healing. And um,
well, the Holy Spirit is just so good, so
yeah,
good.
yeah, amazing.
Amazing. It's amazing. But I have got another little bit of what I've got out of the course,
Yeah,
if
go
that,
for it.
and it's around having spiritual authority,
Mm,
which I didn't obviously in all these 3 years that I'd been practicing as a prayer ministry. I don't think I was particularly effective because I just was not, exercising my
mm,
spiritual authority. And this we'd had a session on it as part of the Kingdom First course, and then you yourself, Louise, preached at church, and you were talking about being a catalyst,
mm,
and that you have got the spiritual authority, but that doesn't mean to say you're in control. It's the
mm,
Holy Spirit, and it's you surrendering to the Holy Spirit to allow to use you to be able to pray effectively and to do what the Holy Spirit wants to do for whoever it is. And I felt so empowered
mm.
from that. It sort of like cemented what we'd learned on the course
Yeah,
previous week, and I was very drawn to pray for a gentleman that was sitting in front of me,
who you'd never met before.
who I've never
Mm,
met before, but I could sense the Holy Spirit was on him, and I could sense that the Holy Spirit was wanting me to direct
mm,
my gift to him. And so I offered prayer for him, and this time I didn't. I exercised my new found skills in that I didn't try and put the words in my head about what to pray for,
yeah,
or try and second guess what this man possibly wanted prayer for. I just watched him, I just looked at him, and I could see the Holy Spirit on him. And then I just asked the Holy Spirit to use me, to
yeah.
absolutely use me. And so I remained silent. And then I got this very, very strong image of a baby's blanket.
Yeah,
And so I just then sort of prayed to the Holy Spirit, is this really what you're showing me? Is this from you? Do you want me to share it? Do you
yeah,
not want me to share it? And then when I finished praying with him, I just felt prompted to actually say, well, I don't know if this means anything to you, and if it doesn't, then just disregard it.
yeah,
Absolutely disregard it. But I did see a baby's blanket,
yeah,
and it was a very, very soft blanket, and I just saw it gently going to the floor. So I said, and he just looked at me and he said, my partner's just found out she's pregnant and we're going for a scan on Wednesday. I was like, oh wow, oh that's wonderful news, congratulations. And he said, she has had a miscarriage previously.
Wow.
So then I was feeling, gosh, I don't know whether, but I was then trying to second guess the outcome of what I'd shared, and I realised I
Yeah.
had to stop there. I had to stop. I'd been obedient. I'd done what the Holy Spirit gave me.
Yeah.
I saw what He gave me, and I shared it. So,
Yeah.
but it's just been an amazing growth in my spiritual prayer life as well, because now I spend so much time in silence, just inviting the Holy Spirit to invade my mind and my thoughts, and to use me from that point of view. So rather than me just saying words, I'm saying a lot of words now. I'm babbling on, so
It's wonderful, wonderful, Bernie. And that gentleman, just from you giving him that picture, knows that God's interested in what's going on in his life and his partner's life. Just that must have been so powerful for him. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Bernie. There's so much more on this paper that we could talk about, but
yeah.
we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Be blessed.